All right, good morning. It's the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Getting a late start today, but we're going to get it in. All right, on deck, we're going to have Rich Eisen breaking down more of that Max Crosby deal. I know we don't want to spend all of our time on it, but he's sharing some good things.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Good morning. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show, man. We are almost done with the second wave of free agency here. It is March 19th. About 8:35 a.m. 8:33 a.m. Close, but no cigar. Rich Eisen, it's funny. So, yesterday I started digging into the intel that popped out about Max Crosby, and just about everybody dug into it yesterday as well. So very fitting project, I guess, for yesterday that we talked about it. But Rich has a few other things to share that I thought were enlightening. And there's something that he says that I really want to drive home because, well, I'll just tell you when we get there. I'm not gonna spoil it. I definitely don't want to spend time on negativity. But he says something that I thought was interesting. We'll leave it at that. Biggest question of the day. Have your Detroit Lions improved roster over 2025? And more fittingly, have they improved the roster over 2023? And I say that because the roster in 2023 got us all the way to the NFC Championship game, and I think that all of us feel that was a Super Bowl contending team, and it should have been. Obviously, things in the second half didn't go well in Santa Clara, but it is what it is, man. Here we are in 2026, and we're going to try to get back to where we were in 2023 and beyond, and take that next step. So you have to have a good roster to do that, and every year you have to improve your roster. You have a lot of things that start to happen as your roster gets, I guess, older as it ages. And I don't mean by how old these guys are, but Dan and Brad and that whole team over there in Allen Park, they started building a team in 2021. And so as that team ages, as the process builds out, things start to happen, right? The cap starts to dwindle. You have more dead cap depending on players that you're moving off of. Even draft capital could tighten a little bit depending on the moves that you're making, or it could increase. You could be adding a lot of draft picks, which, Brad Holmes has yet to really do that, really maximize how many draft picks he has going into the draft. It seems like there's more draft day trading and things of that nature. This year, he added a couple of draft picks, one in this season and one for next season by trading David Montgomery, but we haven't seen a whole lot of that. But I do believe the way that he has attacked free agency this year was very intentional. And I think that Brad is playing the comp game pretty well. Now, I haven't been able to dig my heels in and go through the, compensatory situation and what needs to happen between now and next year for the Lions to get a few comp picks. But I would say that we're probably in order to get at least 2. Could be more. Could be none. We got to go through the season to figure out, where that lands for next year. But as we get closer to the draft, maybe I'll have an opportunity to dig in and kind of go through it. So I asked the question, and last night I kind of went over and broke it down season by season. And so for those of you that did not have an opportunity to go through, last night's recap, talking about the 2 new signings that we brought in, Greg Dortch and Damone Clark. There's some great information in last night's podcast. It's probably in the second hour, but I'll go through a little bit of that again this morning because I think it's valuable information to kind of dissect where the team is headed into 2026 and why I believe, and I don't know what you think, obviously let me know in the comments below, is the roster improved? And if so, where is it improved? Now, definitively, I can say the quarterback position has not improved. The backup quarterback position, let me be clear. That's always been our bane every season. The backup quarterback position has just been a problem. Used to be the kicking situation. Well, Jake Bates is back on the RFA, so we don't have to worry about kicker this year. The punter's, good to go. So our special teams is in lockstep with the rest of the roster this year, which is a good feeling to have going into, the draft, and then obviously on the other side of that, OTAs. But it's the rest of the roster. And I went through and I went year by year. I did a couple of years, actually, 3 to be exact. And I was just kind of checking off, like, how many core football players did we really have in 2023 versus 22 versus 21? And then, same thing in 24, 25, and then now going into 2026, how much different this roster actually is. And I go through these exercises, one, because, well, it's the off season. We've got to fill some time. But I know that this separates this channel from what other people do. I think a lot of negativity resides in the fan base because nobody's out there doing this stuff and doing the compare and contrast as far as, hey, are we actually getting better? Are we getting younger? Are the guys that they're bringing in, do they offer something different or better than what we've had in seasons past? And so far, I could say yes to just about almost all of the outside free agents that the Lions have brought in so far. They are different. They do bring a different, skill set to this team. Maybe a little bit of a different identity, versatility, all welcomed, all needed, all necessary, right? Listening to Dortch and Clark last night, one sec. And everybody else we brought in, I don't care if it's Eisen, McCreary, Pacheco, all the guys that we brought in, there's a common denominator here. All these guys are intelligent. They're well-spoken. Some of them soft-spoken. But guys like Dortch, you can just feel the energy coming off of him of what he went through and how he's still here, 6 years later. That is an infectious personality. That type of mentality to fight and scratch and claw his way onto a roster after being told to go to the CFL by his agent. 2 days later, he gets a call from Washington. Arizona, and he sticks. And he doesn't just stick, plays at a pretty high level as a punt and kick returner. Better than what Khalif Raymond has done. So I think that we replaced an all-pro special teamer in Khalif Raymond with a guy that I don't think he has an all-pro. Honestly, I haven't looked, but I doubt it. Somebody that has done just as good in that portion of his game as a special teamer, returning kicks and punts. He's an immediate lock on this roster if he stays healthy. Now, he's going to have to contend with guys like Jacob Sailors, who really shown last year that he can also do it. Tom Kennedy, another one. So right there, you got three guys, right? You got three guys that can do it to a high level. And then there's another guy that the Lions have not been willing to put back there just yet, but he did it in college, and that's Jamison Williams. And Jamison Williams, as electric as he is, with that long speed that he has, yeah, he's someone that could be extremely dynamic back there returning kicks. I don't think they're ever going to do that because they don't want to put him at risk of another injury, situation. But that's four guys that can do it at a high level. So the Lions have plenty of depth on special teams, returning kicks, punts. So Khalif Raymond is not really missed per se. I mean, his locker room presence, his friendships, all of that stuff. Yeah, of course that's missed. He's a good dude, good football player, very well liked individual, and yeah, that's a part of the process that everybody hates. But football player for football player, I think that we leveled up from what I've noticed about his game so far. That being Greg Dortch, his personality, everything. It just exudes solid move and the right move. Relationship with Petzing. He'll understand the offensive schemes and terminology and all that stuff a lot better than the other guys coming into this either for the first time or making their first real transition into a different offensive scheme. Thankfully, the guys that are on this roster have been through it now through a couple of coaches, and I think that they're better for that. They understand what it's going to take to get through Drew Petzing's scheme and what Dan Campbell, wants to run this year, and make sure that they all understand it to, a high level before week one. It does make me a little nervous that we're going through another scheme again. Anytime you bring in another coordinator or you have, coordinator change, it's pretty tough on all players. And some pick things up faster than others. For instance, and this is not an indictment against Jamison Williams, but he was pretty slow to catch on for whatever reason. In his rookie year, he got in the last 6 games. He didn't know what he was doing, and you could see it on the film. He was all over the place, and he was getting upset at some things, but he was also kind of a freelancer, and he was known as a freelancer at Bama, and that he had to grow out of. And now, 3-4 years later, I think Jamison Williams started to start playing to a higher level, but you could tell last year he was off too. And whether it was poor, route timing, not hitting the landmark, he doesn't snap at the top of the route. He kind of glides the corners, if you will. He's more of a rounded corner route runner. He's not real snappy. So he has to relearn now a new offense, and then you have to take into consideration that every single one of these players doesn't do something well. And for some of them, that could be the difference of having a great connection with Jared Goff this year or not in the passing game. So for Dortch, I think that this gives him an opportunity to teach some guys as well as instantly have an opportunity to be inserted into the offensive scheme. I don't think that we're going to have a problem with Jamison or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Isaac Tesla. I think that they get it. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown is extremely intelligent. He's one of the crispiest route runners in the game. He may not run, sub 4.4 speed or 4.45 speed. He's up in the 4.56s, but on the field, he plays fast, and it's because of how he initiates the route break and how he's able to snap it and be right in, to the route and finish the route where Jared Goff expects him to be. Those little microseconds that you're shaving off by being intelligent, knowing where your landmark is and how to get there and how to beat the guy in front of you to get there, those all matter, right? Because this is a game of inches. It's also a game of microseconds. Your hand could be just, a tenth of a second away from getting Jared Goff's jersey as an edge rusher versus Jared Goff getting that pass out. And that makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to complete a pass. That could be a fluttered ball. It could be an intercepted pass. It could be missing a landmark by just, a couple tenths of a second, and your reach is just not long enough to where you're able to, miss a wide pass or, bring in a wide pass as opposed to hitting that landmark at the right time. So all of these things that I'm discussing, and, these are the things that I go through on a daily when I think about the player that we're bringing in and how they're able to elevate the roster. So with that, let me get the chat open and say good morning to everybody, because I don't even have that open yet. All right. Jason Mallory, good morning, says a couple more moves on the O-line and offense will be at least a top 10. I think you're underselling us a little bit, but yeah, why not? At least starting out as a top 10. We haven't finished really below a top 5. It's been a pretty high powerful, offense the last 5 seasons, entering year 6 with Jared Goff. I don't expect anything less. I think that will be a top 5 offense. And quite honestly, with the return of all of our dominant players, to a lesser degree, we lose David Montgomery, but Isaiah Pacheco, we've gone through his statistical output and we've gone through what he does well. He's a better blocker and he's faster. And I think now that he's healthy, he'll get back to his 2023 shape. And I think Pacheco has the opportunity to do more than what David Montgomery has done in Detroit. But, I'll have to digress and wait and see approach, right? But yeah, I'd say top 10 is the absolute, you don't want to be any worse than that. You're not winning a Super Bowl if you're not a top 10 or better. Good morning, Mr. Thomas. Good morning, Mark Lewis. Good morning, Trace. Shane Smith, good morning. Yeah, the nickname is Taz. I like it. Cautiously optimistic, says Mallory. Pacheco was, so Edge is not the answer, says Pacheco was starter. Scruggs was a starter. Wonnum was a starter. McCreary was a starter. I love it, man. See? And even though they've all, to a degree, maybe have had taken a step back or they've been edged out because of, the roster's kind of shrinking on them a little bit. Teams bringing in, multiple second-round picks or paying players, like Anthony Winfield, big amounts of money. The Bucks kind of squeezed Eisen to a degree, but that dude's a baller, man. He's an absolute scrapper. I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring. John Desage, good morning, says they replaced backups with backups. The only starter they signed to the O-line was Mays. Yeah, that's not true. That's not true, buddy. Losing Decker is a loss. Yeah, but, Decker's 75% of what he used to be. Our O-line will be better after the draft, but right now it's not. I would highly disagree with that. O-line is way better than where it has been. Scruggs is a major upgrade over Awasika. Cade Mays is a major upgrade over Graham Glasgow, Awasika, and honestly, even though he's not a tackle, Skipper. Every guy we brought in is an upgrade over Kobe Sorsdahl, and I believe he's still on the roster right now. I think temporarily. If you go through this offensive line, player by player, and players that we have lost, this is a major upgrade. I think you probably would be one of the 1%ers saying that it's not. But that's your opinion. And quite honestly, we haven't seen anything. So let me be clear. This is what I call paper tiger season. On paper, we are a much better team. On the field, we don't know yet. We have no idea. Nobody does. But you know what? Neither do any of the other 32 teams. Neither do any of the other analysts, draft analysts, football analysts, writers, journalists. I don't care. Coaches. Nobody knows what all 32 teams are going to look like this year. So it is paper tiger season to me, where we're analyzing. I mean, this is what I do. I analyze. I'm a highly functioning and walking statistic. Right? I'm a highly functioning walking statistic. It's just what I do. It's what I enjoy. I allow the stats, the analytics, the metrics, the KPIs to guide me in the film to convince me. And so far, all of the guys that I've been able to kind of dig through, I haven't spent as much time yet, obviously, on Clark or Dortch, but last year I did on Dortch. I went and looked at a few things, and honestly, 2 months ago, maybe, when we were, or maybe a month and a half ago, when we were replacing Johnny Morton with Drew Petzing, I went and looked at all the guys over in Arizona. And I dug through that entire team. I wrote a piece on it. And I identified how everybody was hurt. So I went and looked at a lot of their film. I mean, I didn't watch 100 plays of each, maybe 10, 12, to kind of get an idea of what they were losing. You know, I went and looked at some of their better plays and what was Arizona losing. And, yeah, the fan base was not understanding the fact that Arizona had a bunch of injured players. So I put out that piece. I think I did a video on it. And then not even 24 hours later, then all of a sudden, you know, a lot of the other creators and writers and you know, of the like, sports, you know, channels, whatever, then they started talking about that in Detroit. Oh, they were injured. I get it now. Well, then it was really a week later that people started to agree that maybe, just maybe, Drew Petzing is a good hire. It is a great hire. Like Drew's gonna bring some stuff to this team. I think we're gonna see total dominance. Again, we have to stay healthy, but when we're healthy, I think that you're gonna see total dominance out of this offense. Yeah, you can't tell me that Cade Mays, Larry Borum, you know, are not upgrades over Coyote Owasika, Graham Glasgow, and, you know, what was last year's, like, I don't care about the practice squad as much, but when you go in and take a look at what we had on this offensive line last year, it was not good. Hold the phone here. Hold up. Where's Avonte Maddox right now? He's not signed with anybody yet. Is that what I'm seeing? Because I just looked up some information and it showed that Avonte Maddox is back on the roster, which I haven't heard anything. Can't be right. Can't be. Anyway, never mind. So yeah, you know, last year, Kobe Sorsdahl, Michael Neese, which he's still around, Christian Mahogany, Miles Frazier. I mean, those guys, you know, they're late round picks, and I think that they've played well given the situation that we were in. But if you remember, just, I mean, a couple months ago, or when the season ended, I started telling everybody, like, look, these guys are not immediate starters in 26. They're not. They're going to fight for it. And they're going to bring in competition. And then Dan and Brad jump on the mic and tell us that same exact thing. I expected that both of those guys are going to have to earn a spot. And the guys that we have on the roster right now, Lions aren't done. They are not done. They might be done in free agency. I have a high confidence, if you will, that we're going to be grabbing a guard in this draft. And we're probably going to be grabbing a left tackle as well. I should be more definitive on the left tackle, but I'm not definitive on left tackle. I'm more definitive on the guard, simply because we might be moving Penei Sewell to the left, and then they have to replace, some of that interior strength, if you will, get bigger, stronger, faster, and there's some guys that are in this draft that, man, the guard play in this draft is spectacular when you start looking at offensive tackles that can rotate in and become potentially all pro guards at the next level. So I see more of these tackles in this draft moving inside, and even a couple guys that could potentially move to center. So anyway, not to get lost in the sauce here, but there's no way that anyone can tell me we have not improved on the offensive line. I think that any which way you slice it, Coyote Owaska, Devin Cochran. Cochran, I think, is still around, right? Jamarco Jones, constantly injured. Mason Miller's still around. But the guys that we added are definite upgrades. We just haven't replaced Decker yet, but I'm waiting on some information to come back. I reached out again last night, and I'm hoping that I get some sort of an answer today about Taylor Decker. We'll see what happens. Tristan Colon, Graham Glasgow. Again, I don't think that you can tell me we have not upgraded those players. I think we did. Yeah, Maddox still not signed. Thanks, Trace. I didn't think so. I don't know why he's listed on this, and it's even NFL.com. I don't know why he's listed. Yeah, Graham started for us, but he struggled last year. He really struggled. But I also think that the entire offensive line struggled because of Johnny Morton, because of the confusion. I don't think it was Hank Fraley. Like, we've never had these issues with Hank Fraley before. I think that the scheme and what they were trying to pull, just wasn't working. And maybe we didn't have the right players, to do what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work. Did not work. Brandon Martin, good morning. Dwayne King, good morning. Oh, Dwayne says, I feel bad for Kirby. I don't think he'll be the same ever and won't be 100 on the field either. So just hope it don't get worse on him if he plays. I'll add Kirby, but we'll talk about Kirby today too. Let me add that to my list. I really don't have a list, but I'll make one. I've just been doing pretty much everything off the cuff over the last couple of weeks, just trying to dive into some of these things that we don't normally talk about. J-Man, good morning. Edge not the answer. Dwayne King, Crash House Syndicate. I just want to see Davenport. I would, yeah. Hey, who's, you know what? I better ask about that too. I haven't even asked about Davenport. Just remember, sometimes you don't see things or hear things because other things are really happening behind the scenes. And those are the answers that I try to get. I will never share information if I don't have confidence in it. Even from insiders. Like, they get stuff wrong all the time. All the time. All right. Anyway, anybody I did not say good morning to, good morning. Hope you're all having a great day. JC says, hate to come in here all negative, but I only think Mays was an upgrade. He upgraded our depth, not our starters. Well, okay, let's be clear on that. That's a good point too. Our starting offensive line right now, if you were to strip it all back, you still have Tate Rowledge, Penei Sewell as your starting right side of your offensive line. You still have Miles Frazier and Christian Mahogany starting at left guard. So the only two players or two positions you have left are center and left tackle, right? But you just said we upgraded with Mays. That's 4 starting positions out of 5. So where did we not get better? If you just said our depth got better, that's exactly the point. Our depth is on steroids right now. Because not only will either, Frazier or Mahogany, one of those guys won't have a starting job, or both may not have a starting job. And as I mentioned, a while back, I've been talking about it for 2 months on and off. If those are now your backups, and they just put in a lot of snaps for you over the last 2 seasons, Mahogany, to a lesser degree, Frazier, they have a ton of playing experience. Mahogany was playing at a pretty high level. When he played in 24, he had a really great grade, but it was only like 2 games, so you really can't accept that. But his film was good. Last year, I thought his film was good, and then the injuries, I think, were just nagging him, and the fact that offensive line was just not in lockstep with each other, and then you had multiple injuries. Like Penei Sewell was not himself last year either. You could tell. He was probably banged up 3, 4, 5 times last year where he was on the ground. You remember those? I hate to remember those times, but I'm sure you remember a couple of times where you're sitting on the couch probably watching the game like, oh shit, not Penei. I know I went through it a handful of times, at least 3, that he was on the turf, not getting up, trainers at his side, but he was banged up throughout the year, and he wasn't himself. His pass pro's never been excellent, but he just wasn't himself, and I'm hoping that they get that back this year. So to use your statement for or against you, I would say that left tackle is the only open position right now that is not settled. We have Giovanni Manu to fight for it. We have, Larry Borum could even fight for it. Miles Frazier could fight for it. I don't think Juice Scruggs would make a good left tackle at all. So yeah. Then you have Seth McLaughlin, which, he's the wild card right now. He's an absolute wild card because not only can he play guard, but one of the best centers coming out of that 2024 NFL draft. For Ohio State, that dude was a pretty damn good football player coming out of college, and he just so happened to have a devastating injury that ruined his first year in the NFL, and teams decided to not hold on to him. I think it was the Bengals decided not to hold on to him after taking him as a UDFA, which is nuts. But then again, we're kind of seeing the same thing happen to Connor Lew right now. I expected him to slide big time, and he's sliding big time. He's into the 4th round. At least on my board, he's at least into the 4th round. By many others, he's at least into the 3rd. And before that, he was a mid 2nd round pick. But he's sliding, and he's going to continue to slide. So if left tackle is the only thing that we're looking at to upgrade, and you get that in the draft, and your depth is now clearly, in my opinion, one of the best depth that we've ever had, that's a huge upgrade. And if you're able to stash some of these vets, think about it. Scruggs is a vet. He doesn't have to, if he doesn't make the roster, I'm not saying he's not going to, but let's just say he pulls the handshake kind of deal. We know what happens. He pulls the handshake deal. You know what? I'll go to the practice squad. I'll be the vet guy for now. But I'm going to stick with the team. So that gives you an opportunity to draft a couple other guys. It gives you an opportunity to keep some of the guys like Mahogany and Frazier, because those guys are not vets, and I don't think that you want to lose either one of them to another team. And Seth McLaughlin, yeah, he's a player that you could probably stash on the practice squad if he doesn't outright beat everybody at center. I don't know if a team's really going to come running for him, but you can also protect at least 4 players, I believe, 4. So yeah, between the 6 vets and the 4 that you can protect, that's 10 out of 16. You're only going to lose up to 6 guys. Well, those other 6 guys could be vets as well. Well, let me take that back. They can't be vets because you can only have so many guys with more than 4 years of experience. 10 of the guys have to have 2 or less. All right, let's get into Rich Eisen. Mr. Thomas says Kirby is a non-issue. Oh, where did that go? Just lost it. What day is the draft? What city? We are in Pittsburgh this year, April 24, 25, 26, I believe. And I just lost your statement, Mr. Thomas. Where did it go? John DeSage says, Will, if the Lions don't draft left tackle in the draft, would you think that our O-line is upgraded? Yes, I would. 100%. Go back. I mean, you got to go back and look at the film on Decker last year. I mean, why do you think that the Lions were not, I mean, I'm sure they wanted to keep Decker in the fold, and he may still be. I don't know. I'm hoping that I find something out. But why do you think that they were okay with the release? They didn't have to release him. He's under contract. Even though he requested his release, the Lions could have said, yeah, nah, you're under contract, dude. Sorry. We'll just pay you. But the Lions weren't going to do that. I thought the Lions were going to release him either way if he didn't retire. And I think that's the case. That if he didn't retire or significantly take a haircut on his paycheck, that they were going to release him anyway. So Dan kind of made that clear at the Combine. He definitively said that Decker was going to need some management, a lot of management. There's exact terms I can't remember, but I'll paraphrase. There's going to be some things. He's going to require some significant management or something to that degree. And talking about all the injuries, and how much time Taylor Decker lost last year, which anytime you're not in practice and you're consistently getting treatment, that's not good, right? I mean, that's not what they want. They want their guys out on the field. So I think it was a good move. I absolutely do. And I think Taylor Decker at 80% is not better than a rookie at 100%. I don't believe that for a minute. Now, his intelligence, his locker room presence, his leadership, that's a different story. That's a big loss. But I think they brought in some pretty high character guys to kind of fill that void. Fennec says if Panay flips to left tackle, he becomes a top left tackle for the next 8 to 10 years. Would he be a Hall of Famer? Don't ruin my dream. What's your dream? That Panay Sewell is going to be a Hall of Famer? Or that Panay Sewell is going to go to left tackle? I'll give you this. Panay Sewell is an absolute Hall of Famer. With or without a ring and a Lombardi, he's a Hall of Famer. Already. Like he's put the work in. First ballot? I don't know yet. But he's dominated some of those blocking grades. I mean, I think in the top 10 best blocking grades ever, he owns the best grade ever right now. I think he's on the list 3 times. And I think he holds 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. It might be 1, 3, and 5 or 1, 3, and 4. Either way, he's on it 3 times. So, yeah, he's an absolute Hall of Famer. At left tackle, I don't know. Did DC answer that the other day? Didn't I ask him a question about having to relearn? I got to get that other guy on the talk O-line. I got to follow up with that. Let me write that down. I think he'll be able to give us a lot more info. When it comes to O-line, I mean, I know a few things. I'm not as well versed on O-line as I would like to be. That it's just part of the progression of me getting better. Terminology, I suck with terminology with O-line, but my vision, what I see, I can tell if a player's good or not, right? But I can't speak it all yet. It's like learning, Spanish, right? Doing scout terminology is it's like learning a new language. It is a new language, and so it takes time. And I think sometimes I use terminology wrong, but I have my own terminology. All right, I want to get in. I want to get it in here with Rich Eisen. It's about a 15-minute video. I sped it up 10%. We probably won't listen to all of it, but I think about 7-8 minutes of it we will. So let's get it in, man, because he's going to talk about Max Crosby and talk about a few other things. He goes into a little bit more detail, but he says something in here, and I want to reemphasize something that he said because I think it holds value and weight to what people really know about what's going on with players and the NFL as a whole. As an insider, as a journalist, or a writer, or a content creator, I'll just say this. If Rich Eisen doesn't know, do you honestly feel that anybody else would know? This is Rich Eisen we're talking about, one of the most plugged in people in the world. And not just football. Like, he is plugged. If he doesn't know an answer, if he doesn't know that the Lions offered Max Crosby, do you think anyone else would know? I'll leave it at that. Let's get into Rich.
Max Crosby trade that went kaput.
Man.
Kaput. Listen, we're gonna be, and everyone's like, really, we're gonna talk about that again? The answer is yes. We're gonna be talking about this for a long time to come. Again, when the Ravens are on the clock, 14th overall in the NFL draft on that Thursday night, you bet I'm going to be bringing up the fact that the Raiders could have been picking here. Instead, it's the Ravens because of what happened. And the question is this going to be another pass rusher or not? The Daniel Jeremiah mock draft that just came out that we talked about with DJ in hour number 1 has the Ravens. He's got the Ravens taking Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. So there's that pick right there. That he thinks that will be happening. Now, he also did admit that he did this before the trade, the Miami Dolphins trading away their top wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, and maybe the wide receiver draft that he thought would be the case for the mock draft 3.0 needs to have a 4.0 look at it. But at any rate, it's going to be talked about then, and then whatever happens with Max Crosby, if he returns, his return to Vegas stays the way it is, like before, then anytime he gets a sack, it'll be like, well, they would have missed that. What if he does actually help lead the Raiders into the next championship run? It'll be like, well, they almost didn't have that. I mean, it's going to be nonstop. Or if he does go somewhere else again anyway. So this is going to be reverberating for a long time. And then next year at this time, right around the free agency period, we're going to be looking at anybody actually going to be doing business with Baltimore? Anybody want to do business with Baltimore in that window where anything can happen?
Okay, so to kind of, I'm going to answer one person's message in the chat already. Like, they're sick of the Max Crosby, conversation. We all are. Like, I've been sick of it for months, years. This is a dissection of what happened, what's happening with the Ravens. And I think it further just accentuates or validates, I guess is probably a better word, that yesterday I did a complete breakdown of this on my own with information that I found through The Athletic and some other information, and I shared it with everybody. And then Rich went in and did the same damn thing. And so if you listened yesterday, I think what you're going to find out here is I said some things very similar to what Rich did. And so did some other people. I mean, it was later on last night that some of these later shows that popped on started talking about this stuff. Well, my show's in the morning. So when I talk about stuff in the morning, and then this stuff is talked about in the afternoon or in the evening, I like to listen to it and revalidate. Did I get it right? Number one. Two, what are they adding to the conversation that I can help maybe bridge, the rest of the information or stop the narrative, into Detroit. So that's what this is about. We're going to stop the narrative. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to share the truth, and we're going to bring in highly respected people like Rich Eisen to talk about this stuff and share in what he's saying. And then, oh, by the way, Max Crosby's also going to pop in just a minute. So we're going to get his side of the story.
Between you handshake agreeing, and then everything becoming official in the new league year, we're going to do that again? Anybody going to do business with Baltimore again? See, as I said, Everyone's going to do business with Baltimore outside of that period. So next year, next March, we'll be talking about this, regardless of what Max Crosby does this year and for whom. So yeah, we're going to keep talking about it. But the reason why we're talking about it today is because we finally heard from Max Crosby on his podcast/show, his end of things. Previously on the Max Crosby saga, we heard from Diana Rossini on this program from The Athletic. She said that the Ravens were already were in contact with Trey Hendrickson's side while Crosby was in the building. While Max Crosby was in the building, the temperature of the feet got so sub-zero that they started calling Hendrickson. Now, Eric.
Very interesting, isn't it? I didn't say those exact words yesterday, but I said that something didn't seem right. The fact that, what Crosby was saying, I read the transcript yesterday, bits and pieces of quotes from Crosby that they didn't even come down to meet the guy. They didn't even fly him in a private jet. They literally flew him commercial and then trucked him in from Washington, D.C. What? Like, you didn't even have the wherewithal, the professionalism to get him a, $10,000 PJ or whatever. I mean, come on. The dude should have flown private jet the whole way, and it should have been, into the local airport. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Didn't make any sense at all. And then there was a comment made about this whole thing where someone had said, well, the GM can't technically go talk to Max, or the coach really can't technically talk to Max because it was the free agency period. They confused the most important thing. This was not free agent. This was not a player that was, in their last window of their year before their contract expires in 3 days. This was a trade. When there is a trade that is agreed to in principle, that changes the dynamic of the conversation. GMs and coaches can then talk to these players. They're flying them in to solidify the deal with medicals, right? They can absolutely go talk to these players. And the fact that, and we'll listen to it, but they didn't even go and talk to Max. But here we go. We'll get back into what Rich is going to say.
DaCosta and the Ravens have said that was the reason why Hendrickson was even, a lot of communication was open, is because they were thinking about getting them both, Crosby and Hendrickson, which is one of the more difficult to believe portions of this saga. Exactly. Okay. But be that as it may, Max Crosby said on his show that he, for the first several hours of his visit to Baltimore and in their facility, where he was flown into D.C. and drove up to Baltimore. Interesting. I don't know if there were no FBOs open, the BWI. Okay. But at any rate, he said that it took several hours before he even face-to-face with the new head coach, Jesse Minter, and his, for a hot minute, general manager, Eric DaCosta. And then this is the way he said it was revealed to him that this thing was not happening.
I go into the room, they sit me down on the couch, and he's like, man, I don't know how to say this, but, one of our doctors has concerns with, with the results and whatever, and like with your knee, like some of them have, are concerned about the future and da-da-da-da-da. And, we really want you, and this is what it is, but, we're just going to have to get more and more opinions. So I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there waiting for a call. I can't even sit still, bro. I'm like, what the f***? Call CJ back. He hits me. He's like, yo, they're backing out. And it's crazy because their guy called me. One of the Ravens guys called me and it's like, yo, we're trying to figure this out. We're gonna get this done. Don't worry. 5 minutes later, CJ calls me. He's like, they're backing out. I'm like, holy. So I'm frozen. I'm like, what the? I'm livid, confused, the whole nine all in one.
Wow. Not surprised that soundbite played here sounds like a truck backing up, because that's the way we were all sitting there reading the news and an alert on our phone, or me being told by Stephanie McMahon's outstanding staff of her podcast that I recorded with her on that day, as soon as we were done.
Right.
They told me, you'll never guess what happened. I might have cursed, actually. And I bring it up just not to say that I'm going to be on Stephanie McMahon's podcast, but to make TJ a little bit jealous.
It worked.
I mean, he didn't even tell me he was going.
No, that was revealed after the fact.
I understand.
Yeah.
Same thing, apparently, to Max Crosby after meeting with the general manager.
Yeah.
So they didn't even tell him face to face it's off. The CJ is referring to as his agent, CJ LeBoy, who I guess got the call from the Ravens. So they told him something's up.
Yep.
Somebody was telling him something's up, but we're working on rectifying it. And then the rectifying was you're going back to Vegas. It's a cold business, man. It's cold. Again, everything the Ravens did was in their right to do it. And I imagine there's no, would you say there is no right way or easy way or non-awkward way to do what they did to unwind it? What about his future now? Once again, he's talking about being a Raider.
I'm not letting nobody knock my shine or make me feel weird or anything. I'm like, bro, it happens for a reason. I know exactly who I am. I'm healthy. I'm crushing my rehab. I'm doing what I'm doing. I wasn't supposed to be in Baltimore. And that's it. You know what I mean? I'm meant to be a Raider. It's through my damn core. And that's it.
Man, it's too bad. I would have loved to have seen him in Baltimore. It's kind of him coming out of the smoke like Ray Lewis. The place would have gone nuts. He's perfect for him.
Yeah, but he's perfect for
the Raider. If he's not a Raider, because something happened, man, where he just could not stay.
Okay, so I'll pause it here for a moment. You heard what Max said. I was never meant to be a Raven. I was meant to stay a Raider. It's through my damn core. And he's got that tatted on his arm. I think it's Raider for life, or he's got some cool tat on his arm. But Max has always said from the beginning he's never wanted to be anything but a Raider. And I don't know where all of these clickbaiters and fakers came up with all these, wonderful ideas that the Lions were going to be, or did offer, 2 first-round picks, but Terry and Arnold screwed it up. Look, Terry and Arnold would never screw up a trade. Okay, that would never screw up a trade. 2 first-round picks is what got it done. Terry and Arnold was never offered either. So we'll keep listening, but Max has never wanted to go anywhere else. As much as the fallout that spurned everybody from the very beginning, they took Jay Glazer, at his face value word, which was a mistake because Jay Glazer is a Glazer, and he constantly pumps out BS, constantly. Now he does do some significant work, or has. But as I pointed out in that interview with Jay Glazer, go back and rewatch it. Just watch his mannerisms, watch his jaw. Something's off with the dude. I don't know if he was skiing the slopes that week or what, but something was off with him. It was all BS from the beginning. It was just typical NFL offseason narrative pumping to get, the clickbait, or the click wheel spinning, right? Let's finish this out with Rich.
Right? Whatever happened in the final 2 weeks of the season and what's been happening with him having to deal with the churn of the coaches and everything else, he could not grasp staying there any longer, to the point where the Raiders took calls or potentially made them. We don't know. But something.
Bingo, did you hear that? He said, that maybe Max didn't want to stay there, right? That, him not playing the last couple of games. I'll rewind it. We'll listen to it again. But he said that the Raiders took calls, or maybe they made them. I don't know. That's what he says, but I don't know. We don't know. So Rich Eisen saying, I don't know if they made calls. I don't know if they took calls. Don't you think that that's pretty valuable information? Don't you think that gives you a little bit more of the story? The Rich Eisen doesn't even know if the Raiders made or took calls. The guy that knows everything about every team and is plugged in with every insider, every GM, every coach, every owner. But Rich wouldn't know? Come on.
any longer, to the point which is in everything else, he could not grasp staying there any longer, to the point where the Raiders took calls or potentially made them. We don't know. But something happened that caused him to say, I just can't stay here anymore. I'd love to stay. I want to stay. I just can't. And then this happened. And that, I guess the drama, or if you will, trauma of what happened supersedes the emotions that he was feeling between all the coaching changes to the benching so they could tank, and him having to deal with being told by his, coach and general manager that we feel we're better off without you suiting up with your teammates. And he could not in any way, shape, or form take that other than an insult to that you don't get me, you don't see me, you don't understand me. I'm not going to make a big public stink of it, but take some phone calls. But this now maybe supersedes it. Unless it doesn't, and we'll see what happens over the next 5 weeks if they can try and put some Humpty Dumpty back together again to get as close to 2-1 as you possibly can get.
Yeah, what percentage would you put that he's moved before the draft starts?
I have no... If I'm sitting here going, I think it's 70, 80, 90, whatever, it's a total dart throw.
Yeah,
I don't know. You don't know. I don't know.
No, obviously.
Because it could be like, listen, I still don't want to be here, but I'm going to talk about being a Raider for life.
Right.
And you can sit here and start taking calls again and say, it's 2-1s. Like, that's what it was before. You can see what Baltimore had a problem with. And they could also tell, Dallas or Chicago or whomever that is still in on him that might have the cap space to get him, because they made some moves in free agency as well.
I didn't hear the Lions mentioned again.
That might prevent his acquisition, because they've made moves just like the Raiders made moves that might have caused Baltimore's foot temperature to get colder, because they lost their center and their tight end and their punter and their fullback, and they're probably sitting there going, we could use some draft capital, certainly for a guy that our doctors are saying in 2028, 2029 might not be physically viable. Let's go and get Trey Hendrickson and put a massive chip on Max Crosby's shoulder.
Yeah, the last time we talked to Tom, he made it seem like it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to start week 1 with the Raiders. So
Right.
it feels like a trade is still kind
That's
of
what I'm
out there.
saying. Again, unless the hard feelings of what happened supersedes the hard feelings of what had previously happened. Does that
But
make sense?
if you're Max and you're okay, maybe look, you fought for AP to be the coach, it didn't work out. 1 year with Pete, obviously the way the season ended, caused you to kind of work yourself into a tizzy to want to be traded. But
Right.
then free agency happens and you have the trade snafu. You're back in the building. Oh, the Raiders made some nice additions. We're getting Mendoza. The offense might be on the up and up. Linderbaum is here. Maybe I want to stick around.
So the departure of all the people in Baltimore that might have caused them to get cold feet, including a center that's now on the Raiders,
teammate now.
That also in that interim between being a Raven and then being a Raider, all the other moves have caused Crosby to go, I kind of do like what's going on here.
Right.
I can stay here. I can forget about the harder feelings that I thought were really harder than the harder feelings I have now. I have a chip on my shoulder. Let's go. I don't want to talk about this garbage anymore.
Yeah,
I'm a football player. I'm here in Vegas. It's clearly been meant to be. The football gods have put their thumb on the scale. I am here. Let's go.
This Raider team now, as it's constructed in mid-March with Mendoza coming, is not the Raider team that I was fighting to play the last 2 weeks. And
Okay, so the rest of that was just banter, kind of back and forth. Not really anything valuable there, but wanted to share the comments here from Rich Eisen, talking about the Max Crosby thing and the Raiders thing, quite simply because I went through it yesterday. And they're saying a lot of the same things that I was saying yesterday. So it validates the work. It's a mess, right? And I think that the most interesting thing about all of this is that they're already on the phone, potentially or allegedly, with Trey Hendrickson when Max was in the building. And if you go in and you listen to Max in his podcast, which I did last night, I mean, you really, and look at the facial expressions, you get that sense that he knew something was off from the minute that he stepped on, on Ravens turf, right? He just didn't feel right. I mean, the fact that, they handled this so poorly. You didn't fly him in on a private jet. You made him go through commercial. You carted him all the way from Washington, D.C. I don't understand any of that. But the fact that they didn't even tell Max to his face. They didn't even have the decency to tell Max to his face. He had to hear it from his agent, and he said, "Forget this. I'm out of here. I'm going back home." I can't believe that they treated Max Crosby like this. But I wanted to bring this up one more time. Unless something major happens, I won't be talking about Max Crosby. The thing is there's something else there in this medical report that we don't know what it is. It can't be released by the Ravens. So unless it comes out by somebody, if someone somehow gets their paws on it, there's something else there that, at least from what I understand, from what I've been able to gather through this, it's not just the knee surgery, the meniscus repair, that there's something else going on. I mean, the guy's had 8 surgeries in 7 seasons. So there's something else going on here that they're concerned about. And if it is the knee and the meniscus surgery, then I would say this. Why did you even try to go through this? Let me back up. I understand why they tried to go through this now during free agency. Because if you're getting Max Crosby, that changes what you do in free agency. If you don't get Max Crosby, it changes what you do in free agency. And the Raiders went all in expecting that they were not going to have Max Crosby. And they went all in. They brought all those players in. They signed them, starting with Tyler Linderbaum, huge deal. So, yeah, having to carry this large cap hit is a problem for them. But they have plenty of resources right now where they don't have to worry about it. They just didn't plan on it. They didn't plan on having to, pay that salary to Max Crosby this season. And that will have wide, far-reaching impact on next year. So the last part of this is, will he be traded again? I would have waited until the draft anyway. That's just me. I would have waited till the draft because you make all the plays. With Max Crosby on your team, you would think that you would be able to get more players to commit to the Raiders. They didn't seem to have a problem with that, but you would think that they would get more players to commit to play there than him not on the team. Unless it's an edge rusher, right? Because then they'd probably not feel comfortable that they have to go out there and compete against other guys, or maybe not. I mean, it's probably not really true. They'd probably still compete. They'd still love it. I would have waited. I would have waited till the draft because he would have been healthy. He would have been able to pass his physical if it was just the knee. It would have given him plenty more time to do some running and to go in and knock this thing out with flying colors. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And now the Ravens look terrible. The Raiders may or may not try to trade Crosby ever again. So then it boils down to, is it still 2 first-round picks? If it's a first and a third, I would want to know what that injury is. Right? I would want to have clear understanding, because now there's probably a lot of teams that have questions. Like, what's going to happen with Max now? I mean, what if the Raiders decide that, and I don't know what his contract looks like from the perspective of when can they walk away from it. But if they can walk away from his deal next year without a super big impact, And then teams bringing him in say, yeah, you got this issue, but the Ravens now just completely depleted his value. Max may never get another contract, a last contract or even a second, major contract like this, because the Ravens just depleted his value because nobody knows. So the teams that are going to bring him in, we'll see what they say if other teams do. Well, Rich said one, he didn't mention the Lions at all. And two, he doesn't even know if teams called in or if they called teams in this situation. And then the other audio that I have, I found it, but it was a little grainy, so I've got to re-download it again. In this audio, I'll just tell you, it was from SiriusXM, guys that I trust, one that I know. Well, I don't know extremely well, but I know that the Lions were never mentioned, period, point blank, in the conversation for Max Crosby. And I don't think that they ever will be. Nothing will ever happen with this for Detroit. The Lions, clearly have made their presence known as to how they're going to build this team and how they value free agents. And the direction moving forward is to win a Super Bowl, not get cash strapped so that they can't do anything. So, anyway, moving forward, we're talking about, did the Lions get better? Is this an improved roster? And I would redo the poll, but it's a little late for that. 77% believe that we have on 117 votes. That's a lot of votes. 23% saying no. So I would ask the 23%ers right now, where have they not gotten better? We got better at edge. DJ Wonnum. What he offers is exactly what I said in the article that I wrote, as well as the video that I did. DJ Wonnum is a major upgrade over AQM for one glaring reason alone. And there's others. His run defense, way better. AQM was not trusted. That's why he was a situational pass rusher. He was an SPR. He was brought in on longer down and distance or third downs or fourth downs if it was longer down and distance. Not trusted in the run game. Aiden Hutchinson. I think that the style of edge rusher that DJ Wonnum will be a direct backup to Aiden and on the other side of Aiden. So you're going to see DJ Wonnum in, and then whoever our other edge is, you'll see them in together when Aiden's out. And I do believe that Aiden is going to get more time on the sidelines this year. And that's not an indictment on his ability. I just think his run defense is not great. And you want guys in that can affect the run game. And so whether that's first or second down, I think that you're going to see Aiden off the sidelines more. And I don't believe that Calvin Shepard is going to have an issue with this. Like he said last year, you go ask that player to take a break and he's going to tell you no. You ask him to get on the sidelines and he says no. He just stays out there. That has to change. Calvin Shepard has to be the leader. He has to say, this is the way it's going to be. If I want you out, you're out. There's a reason for it. It's to make the team better. So to improve the run defense, Aiden needs to be on the sideline a lot more on early downs. But again, that doesn't diminish the fact that Aiden isn't, a really good football player, because he is. But not everybody is perfect. And not every edge rusher is great against the run. That's just one of Aiden's areas of weakness, if you will, or developing areas. I don't know how much more you can develop. It is what it is at this point. And so I think that DJ Wonnum is a massive upgrade over AQM from that perspective. And as far as sacks go, DJ Wonnum has been a fairly consistent individual. Let me pull up his stats real quick. Shoot. Wonder if I saved it in a different folder. Where did it go? I must be in the wrong one. All right, well, I guess I'm going to have to pull up PFF. I don't really want to do that, but my other site that I like, I don't know what I did with the link. So DJ Wonnum, last year, grades were not great. I don't care about the grades, but if you go and you look at his season stats year by year, last year had 3 sacks, but his snap percentage was probably about 65, 70% total snaps. AQM was like 35. So this is a guy that's going to be able to play twice the amount of snaps. Here you go. This is DJ Wonnum. Carolina last year, 688 snaps. Pass rush, 364. Run defense, 271. Now, not the greatest of grades for last year. And he's been fairly consistent in this middling area. But look at the sack numbers. Right? AQM was never consistent in the sack department. And, 3, 4, 9, 5, 8, 3, if you add up the 32 sacks over the last 6 seasons, his best year coming in probably 21 and 2023. 23 really was the year that defined who he was with a dominant edge rusher on the other side in Daniil Hunter. That was the last year in Minnesota. 9 sacks. And so I would say that this is where you're hoping to get production out of DJ Wonnum here in 2026. You're hoping that it's the 2023 tape that really comes alive. Now, aside from his rookie year where he had a massive missed tackle percentage, his missed tackle percentage is about 14.6%. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, come on. Hold on. Got such a narrow space right here. I got to close a couple things. Now, remember, I don't use PFF grades. I really don't care about their grades. I care more about the film. We utilize PFF to kind of help us understand, who the player is on a surface level. Okay. PFF's run defense grades for Aiden are pretty good. They're at least green, but the film is going to tell you something totally different. My biggest concern is right here, and this is why I question PFF, because how can you have, let's just call it a 69 average in run defense, but your tackling grade is god awful? How can you be that decent in run defense, but yet you can't tackle? All right, that just doesn't align for me, and honestly, it shows on the film too. But this missed tackle percentage right here by Aiden, 19.6, 15.4, 24 in 23. He's missing a quarter of his tackles. 11.4 as a rookie, but 18.3 overall. Like that's a problem, right? And that will directly correlate to his shorter arms. It'll also directly correlate to the run game and in his efficiency metrics and how is he able to help this team win in the run game. So that's Aiden Hutchinson, just to make sure you know that's who I'm looking at. And then DJ Wonnum, again, he doesn't play as many snaps as Aiden, but that missed tackle percentage, I mean, it's about 4 basis points lower. Last year he had a rough year, but if you take his best year in 2023, it was 10.2%. Aiden's best year was his rookie season, 11.4%. So 4 years ago. If we look at DJ Wonnum here and what he offers, I mean, you look at the stop. 124 stops in 6 years. What about Aiden? Let's see where he's at. Pretty good. 114 over 4 years. Last year, 35 stops. So that would tell me he's probably getting a little bit better in, I mean, that's actually a big jump from year to year, but he was injured last, 2024. But it's on par for what he's done every year, 36, 31, 35. Here's the difference. Okay, I do efficiency rating. I don't do overall. Okay, overall will lie to you. An efficiency rating would tell me this. Aiden had 374 run defense snaps last season. 384 run defense snaps. They don't have TFLs in here, do they? I really need that other sheet. And he had 35 stops. So that is 8.9% efficiency rate. 8.9% efficiency rate. No, it's actually a little bit more. Hold on. It's 9% flat. DJ Wonnum last season, who didn't have his best season, 271 run defense snaps, 22 stops. That is 8.1%. So less than 1% difference between Aiden and DJ Wonnum in stoppage, right? Now, had DJ Wonnum had an extra 100 snaps like Aiden, those numbers are probably a little bit higher, right? There's also the Carolina defense, which you would think that would have been a really good defense, but they've struggled kind of all over the place. Now, his pass rush snaps, he had 364. Aiden, 622 of his snaps were in pass rush. Coverage, though, this is a big difference. DJ Wonnum had 53 coverage opportunities last year. Aiden only had 9 out of 1,005 snaps. So from a coverage standpoint and an edge rusher, DJ Wonnum is going to give you an opportunity to defend some tight ends, which, again, brings me to the philosophy change that I think is coming this year to Detroit. They're trying to find guys that are multiple and versatile. And DJ Wonnum, what did they do with James Houston? Remember how they tried to make him pick up the tight ends, and he ended up following, I believe it was a running back or a tight end all the way down the field, and it might have been the play after that or something that he broke his ankle or fractured his ankle. Asking him to do things that he's not good at, asking him to do things that he had no business doing, because if you would have just set him up to get after the quarterback on third down, he probably would have had 15, 16 sacks every year. But they failed at doing that. Instead, they're trying to make him cover guys downfield. Well, DJ Wonnum can. He has the speed, he has the length, and he has the coverage ability. Now, his coverage grade is not phenomenal, but it works. Now, Aiden has had, a couple interceptions, so his coverage grade is higher, but look at the amount of snaps. You see, you can't tell me that, okay, you got a 72.9 in coverage, but it's on 9 snaps. You can't even weigh that. That grade should say incomplete, is what it should say. If you don't meet the requisite amount of snaps to be able to get a positive grade, then they shouldn't even do it. Reception percentage given up by DJ Wonnum, 57.1%. Now, the guy that we need to really compare him to is Al-Qadim Muhammad. Okay, so last year, Al-Qadim Muhammad had 21 coverage snaps, 83 run defense snaps. That is a huge difference, and exactly why I said he was not trusted in the run game. 271 to Al-Qadim Muhammad's 83. 457 snaps overall to DJ Wonnum's 688. So you're getting a player that is now on the field for about 65% of the time, where Al-Qadim was on the field for about 45% of the time. And I say that because we know Aiden had over 1,000 snaps. So that directly gives us an idea that, 457 is 45%. So he's on the field 20% more. Now, the sacks, I think, was actually 11.5, but PFF, they round up. He had 9 hits, 32 hurries, no batted passes. That's a problem. 9 tackles, 3 assists, 4 missed tackles for a 25% missed tackle rate and 15 stops. Wonnum, 688, 53 in coverage, 29 pressures, 3 sacks, 1 hit, 25 hurries, 2 batted balls. Those are just like sacks, so you might as well add 2 more sacks to his number. 26 tackles, 13 assists, 9 missed tackles for an 18.8. So he's better in the missed tackle department. 22 stops for DJ Wonnum, only 15 for Al-Qadim Muhammad. Efficiency-wise, I can break it all down for you. Otherwise, you just take the number and you divide it by the overall run snaps, depending on what it is, depending on what you're trying to do. Like sacks, okay, you take that number 11.5, you would divide it by 457. That'll give you an efficiency rating, which tells you how efficient are you at getting a sack. For how many snaps does it take to get a sack, right? Or what is your percentage? Those are the things that I dig into because I'll put it this way. When you guys all remember, the whole, what was that movie with Brad Pitt? Moneyball. When Moneyball became a thing, that it started to slowly trickle into the NFL. And around the league, there are some teams that have a complete department that is built on analytics and statistics. They have quants, quantitative, math majors. I mean, guys that are doing high level processing with statistical analysis and numbers to give you an idea based on percentages. If I have this player, and this player on the field at the same time, what is my percentage-based volume that they are going to produce? A batted ball, a sack, a stop, a hurry, a hit, right? And so then you build your roster that way, you build your lineups that way, and they go so far down into the weeds, it's not even funny. Okay, 3rd and 6. Who gives me the best possible chance on 3rd and 6 at the 42-yard line with this guy, and this guy in the game versus this guy? What's the better rotation based on numbers? That is exactly why Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down. because he knows that the numbers will tell you that you have a higher probability of completing the fourth down and continuing on your drive than not. And that has pretty much been the case. And that's why a lot of teams have followed suit. So there's some teams that and this is the stuff that I love. Now, I'm nowhere graduated to the level, of quants. I'm not that smart. Wish I was. Maybe someday I'll get there. It's part of the reason why I'm having a conversation with statistics site next week. I'm discussing, how I can leverage what they do, possibly work with them behind the scenes to get better at what I do. And it's all about getting better, right? Like I always want to continue to get better, to deliver better content, better ideas. And I'll continue to grow that way. So the Lions don't have a big statistics room. They just don't. And I'll have to go in and find the site that broke it all down for me. But there's teams out there that they'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, guys and ladies in that room doing all those figures. And I think the Lions had like 1 or 2. It's not a room that is fully, and that may have changed in the last 2 years since I've looked at it. But in 2023, it just wasn't as built out as other teams. A lot of teams are going heavy now into AI and trying to build probability based on AI and allowing AI to figure a lot of things out. But it's those quantitative figures that they're trying to figure out as to how to make their team better. And this is what I do on a much smaller scale, is I go in and evaluate all of these things to give me an answer. Are we better? Statistically, analytically, is this a better football team? Paper Tiger tells me yes, right? We still got to see it on the field. Still got to see it on the field. Shane Smith, appreciate it, man. All 22's been on numerous times. During the season, he comes on once a week. Last year, we kind of fell off a little bit. We were doing it every week, and then we had some issues, either scheduling or whatever. But we are actually growing into a new direction. One, we've got he's got the magazine that he put together and brought in all the collaborators. It's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just a one-man band over here. So they were able to get theirs up and running first, and I'm super excited to be part of it. Mine will be out next season, before the season, because it's going to be a 24/7 thing. I need writers, right? I need people to actually put stuff up. I need collaborators, but I need more writers for DFJ Sports. And the statistics and analytics site, I want to bring that into it. And so I'm hoping that the meeting goes well next week, that we can figure out a way to start blending these things. So you have a digital magazine that is all draft related, and then it goes into all these little subsections. The Substack, DetroitFootballJournal.com, that's a very small piece of where I'm heading. A very, very small piece. I have a 3, a 5, and a 10-year projection that I built out when I started doing this. I'm way ahead of where I wanted to be, but I'm way behind where I needed to be right now with having people involved. And the thing about this space is, like companies out there, to pivot for a moment, companies out there, media companies, they don't just go out and hire and spend a bunch of money. They bring in, they bring in college students to build their portfolio. They essentially get a bunch of free work out of them to build their portfolio. And they're testing them to see, hey, is this someone that we want to keep? And if it's someone that you want to keep, then obviously you offer them. I'm trying to do the same thing here. I want to bring in people through college programs to give them an opportunity to write. I don't care what team it is. They can do whatever they want. To do content if they want to do content. And then if there's someone that I feel is good enough to stick around, if they can help us grow, and they're good at what they do, then we pay them. It's that simple. That's the process. So, still looking for great people, always. So, All 22 was on quite a bit, but where I was going with this is we're growing into another arena of where the collaborators we're going to build another channel that is going to be dedicated to 24/7, 365 draft work and whatever conversations, we want to have. And whether that's, once a week, twice a week, we haven't figured that part of it out yet. Probably once a week, probably no longer than an hour. And we're going to have at least 4 to 5 guys in talking about it. And then, these are guys that are former scouts, former coaches, still scouts, still coaches. And then you got people like me that are kind of on the edge of growing into that next segment of my goal, which is I want to be a scout. Even if it's just for 1 year, that's just the goal. I just need that forever plane ticket and forever hotel pass. I'll work for free. I just want the forever plane ticket and hotel pass, and I'll travel the country scouting. I just want to do it for at least 1 year. And if it turns out longer than that, then it's longer than that. Hold on here. Oh my God. I get so sick of clickbait. Okay. So there was something that just popped up that said Taylor Decker leaves the Lions, and that is way too clickbaity. That happened a long time ago. Taylor Decker was released, but he didn't leave the Lions just yet. He has not been signed by anybody else. So I'm not going to say where this is from, but yeah, it just popped up. I thought it was a different site. I've never seen an update for that site before. Hey, we don't have to worry about Kendall Vildor. It looks like he's signed with another team. Patriots. Damn, that's a great opportunity for him. All right, so have we improved? The answer is yes, we have. Let's kind of go through position by position real quick. What time is it? I'm almost done here in about a half hour anyway. Let's go through position by position. Let me get a couple of things brought in. All right, here you go. The question is, you guys tell me in the chat, thumbs up, thumbs down. Have we gotten better? Have we gotten worse? We'll go position by position. Player by player. Here's who we signed. Cade Mays. Hutchinson, Roger McCreary, DJ Wonnum, Malcolm Rodriguez, Trevor Nowaski, Damone Clark, Teddy Bridgewater, Isaiah Pacheco, Larry Borum, Christian Izzian, Tyler Conklin, Tom Kennedy. Well, Tom Kennedy coming back, that's a lateral move. We didn't get better that way. Trevor Nowaski coming back, lateral move. We didn't get better that way. Teddy Bridgewater, kind of a lateral move. We did not get better that way. Hutchinson, again, a lateral move, but I do believe we got better here. Because when you look at the depth from last year to this year, that Hutchinson ended up being one of the best pickups that we had out of last season's free agency. Who did we lose? All right, we lost Alex Anzalone. We brought in Damon Clark. Is that an upgrade? Probably not. So I don't think that Damon Clark is an upgrade over Alex Anzalone and what Alex provided, sideline to sideline coverage. I think that he was fairly decent, in his coverage. But there's also some things about his game that were not so great. If we look at last year, those are great numbers, man. I mean, mid-60s, that's a great season for him. 2024, he was a little bit, down on the run in the pass rush. He's never really given us a bunch in the pass rush. But if you go back to 23, he was kind of on par for where he was in 23 compared to 25. His pass rush was a lot better. 22, down year. 21, terrible year. We had nobody, right? You can't, when you see grades like this, and I want to be very clear. So a lot of people will run to PFF when you bring in a player, which, okay, that's great if you're going to look at it from the surface level. But if you don't scroll back and figure out who this player's been, this is the kind of stuff that can trip you up. Because if this was 2025 and this was Alex Anzalone's 2025 grading, you'd be like, oh my God, we just got way worse, right? But the Lions re-signed him after this year. They re-signed him because we didn't have a defense that year. He couldn't play with his hair down because he was worried about everybody else around him. And it wasn't until they fixed the scheme and allowed the defense to play a little bit more vanilla that the second half of 2021 got marketably better for Alex Anzalone. And then in 2022, I mean, that's a huge improvement, right? 2023, I mean, you wouldn't have said or even thought for a moment that would have been the player that you would have had from these numbers. So don't run to PFF and look up a player's stats and then say, yeah, they suck. No, you've got to go through it all, and you need to watch a little bit of film, or just come here to Rockhound Detroit Lions, and I'll do my best to help break it down for you. I'm always going to give you the honest opinion. And it's based on stats, facts, and everything else. So we lost Amik Robertson. Look, that dude's a glue guy, right? And he's a leader. He's inspirational. He's all those things. I think he's a damn good, nickel guy. Who do we bring in his place? We brought in two guys. We brought in Christian Eisen, who's a box safety, can also play up at the nickel slot. And we also brought in Roger McCreary, who, at least for right now, my understanding is this is our new Amik Robertson. He also plays to the boundary. He plays inside and outside slot and plays out in the boundary, out as a corner. So is that an upgrade? Yes, it is. It 1,000% is. Roger McCreary and Christian Eisen are upgrades over Amik Robertson. We brought in depth. We also brought in another backup and another versatile player that one or both of those players can back up Brian Branch. We still haven't listened to Roger McCreary's pro day press conference. So take a look at his coverage grades last year. Now, how many snaps did he have? 345 snaps. So he didn't get a ton of snaps, but that is enough. Anything over 250, I would say, is enough to kind of get a good idea of who that player is. Got to get rid of some things here. I got way too many things open. Okay, let's open up another one, and let's take a look at Amik Robertson. Gonna miss that dude, man. Look at those grades. Not great. How many snaps did he have last year? 842. He played a lot. So he played, about 60% or 160% more than what McCreary did. But his grades were not great. What did he do in 24? I mean, they were a little bit better, but look at that run defense grade, man. 4th in the league. This is what we are trying to replace, is this run defense. Obviously, we want the coverage to be better. But this run defense grade is exactly what the Lions are trying to replicate. And it's funny because his run defense grade in 2023 was not good at all. Was not good at all, but he wasn't with us in 23. So 2024, he had a stellar season. How many snaps did he have that year? Here, I'll just go to premium stats. It's easier. So he had 628 in his first year in Detroit. Put up a stellar, elite run grade, but the coverage was lacking. The pass rush, we don't really care about that. His tackling was subpar. His overall defense was okay. But I think that he played a much bigger role. He was that utility knife. He shut down Justin Jefferson. And that's pretty tough to do. So I don't believe in all the grades. If I didn't know the film, if I didn't know the player, I would say, yeah, why did we bring that guy in? But I know the player, and I know what he did on the field. And Amik Robertson is a tough out, and he's a tough player to replace. So Roger McCreary, what does he offer? It's a good question. I'll just go right to his season by season. Look at those grades, okay? Much better grades than Amik Robertson. He's a Christmas tree. He has 1 elite grade. He has 2 average grades, or better than average grades, the green. That darker green and the yellows, those are kind of like average to below average. The orange and the red are nope ropes, man. Those are not good. He only has 2 grades in 24 and 23 in his tackling performance that you could say are subpar. Everything else is average or better than average. And he has the requisite amount of snaps, 652 in 2024. Amik Robertson in 2024 at 628. That's the same football player, right? Same amount of snaps. Okay, just looking at 2024, which is the second line right here. They both had the same amount of snaps. Let's look at their production. Amik didn't have any pressures, no sacks, no hits, no hurries, no batted passes. He had 45 tackles, and he had 8 missed tackles for a 13.8% missed tackle rate. And McCreary had 3 pressures, 1 sack, 1 hit, 1 hurry, 43 tackles, 10 missed tackles for a 17.5, so a little bit worse in the missed tackle department. And I would say the short arms are a direct reflection of that. He had 21 stops in the run game. Amik Robertson had 23 stops in the run game, 3 forced fumbles. Oh, that's a much better year for Amik Robertson, turning the ball over. He was targeted 64 times. This is McCreary. He was targeted 64 times, 51 receptions, about an 80% reception rate when targeted. Amik Robertson in 20, and I'm doing 24 on purpose because they have the same snaps roughly. McCreary, much different story. He was targeted 80 times. 80 times, which is 17 more than Amik Robertson, and he only allowed a 57.5% completion percentage when targeted. Short arms and all. His career is a 63.3 passer rating when targeted. Amik is a 74.1. It's 11 basis points higher, and then it's not in a good way. He's, career-wise, Amik has allowed 9.7 yards per reception. In 24, it was 7.2. Amik Robertson, I got to say that all over again now. Amik Robertson in 2024 allowed 12.9 yards per reception. For his career, it was 12.7 yards per reception. He had a 57.5% reception rate allowed in 2024. Again, that's Amik Robertson. He was targeted 80 on 46, so he had the better year than McCreary. This is McCreary. Where am I at? Right there. 79.7% reception rate. Overall, 74.1. Let's keep going forward. 2 TDs allowed by McCreary in 24. 2 TDs allowed by Amik Robertson. 7 pass breakups by Amik. And I'm sorry, here's your passer rating when targeted, 89.3. The other one was completion percentage. I don't use PFF a lot for this. All right, 0 pass breakups for McCreary in 2024. I don't like that number. Passer rating when targeted, 101. 2 penalties on the season. 0 interceptions, 2 TDs. So overall, 4 penalties, 7 pass breakups, no interceptions, 2 TDs. So overall, you'd say Amik Robertson had a better 2024 season overall. 2025, again, this is Amik, a 110 passer rating when targeted, a 108 for McCreary, 2 pass breakups, 1 interception, 2 TDs for McCreary, 9 PBUs, 1 interception, 6 TDs for Robertson. That's not good. He got torched. He also allowed a 68% reception rate. Amik did. McCreary allowed an 82% completion percent. So there's ebbs and flows, man. There's ebbs and flows here. Both of these players are good. Both of these players have statistical better areas of their game than others. Overall, I like McCreary's grades a lot better than I do Amik Robertson. Oh, that's Amik. Christmas tree. And this is McCreary. 8 seasons going on number 9 for McCreary. 6 seasons going on number 7 for Amik. I think we got better here. I think we got a lot better here. And we got Rock Ya-Sin back. I think we got better there. And we brought in Christian Izzian, which he's an absolute dog. Now, I'm not going to break every single one of these down because that would take forever. All right, so we've talked about Anzalone. Damon Clark, look, I think that he offers things that are a lot better than what Alex Anzalone has to offer. But let's just take a look at that real quick. All right, 2025. We know that Clark had a very down year as far as snap counts. 2024, much of the same. So we got to go back to 2023 because the injury and everything else that Clark dealt with, almost positive was an injury. Let me go back to my notes. Where is he? He had that back injury prior to 2021, I believe, where he had the spinal surgery, fusion surgery prior to the draft. But 2023, he had an amazing year. Yeah, we're just going to compare 23 for now. So 834 snaps for Clark. 1,005 for Alex. I mean, my God, like he's got 3 years with over 1,000 snaps. Run defense 335, pass rush only 83, coverage 587. Clark 834, 394 against the run, only 54 in pass rush, 387 in coverage. So when you look player at player, they're kind of the same player, right? If you look at how they're utilized, Clark is utilized heavy in coverage, less on pass rush, heavy on run defense. Anzalone, heavy on coverage, less on pass rush, heavy on run defense. More so in coverage, less so than run defense. Clark, about even. He's about even. He's utilized 50-50. Grades-wise, this is Clark. Again, I'm looking at 2023. That's a pretty solid season. His tackling is way up there at 83.6, and that's on 836 snaps. He had 8 total pressures that year, 3 hits, 5 hurries, no sacks, no batted balls, 79 tackles, only 7 missed tackles at 5.8%. I can already tell you without looking that Alex Anzalone is going to have a rough year, a rough few years. 33 stops in the run game. That's solid. He was targeted 35 times. He allowed 29 receptions. I don't like that. That's 82.9%. That's way too many. But what he didn't do is he didn't give up a bunch of TDs. He only allowed 1 TD. He had 2 pass breakups, a 100.2 when targeted, and only 1 penalty throughout his entire NFL career. And for that, I mean, that's huge, right? If you're not penalized, well, that means that negative plays are not going to be part of your game. There you go. His tackling grade in 23 for Alex Anzalone, 38.3. 53.9, a 30, a 56.5. He's had 4 really good years, 2 of which were last 2 seasons. And his tackling was much better. 2023, he had 25 total pressures, 3 sacks, 10 hits, 12 hurries, 1 batted pass, 94 tackles, 23 missed tackles at 16.5%. That is triple the amount of missed tackles that Clark allows. 48 stops in the run game. That's phenomenal. He allowed a 75.7% reception rate, so fairly close. They're about 5% off. He didn't allow any TDs in 2023, 5 pass breakups, 5 penalties, though. Alex Anzalone has been penalized 23 times in his career, and he has 15 penalties in the last 4 seasons. Now, are they the same player? No, they're not. But Clark is going to be given an opportunity to go prove himself. And if he can get his 2023 game back, and he's going to be playing with a much better squad around him, I think that there's an opportunity for Clark to be a very important piece to this team. But the Lions aren't done plugging either. I think that the draft is going to lend to a pretty solid will linebacker, which means then Clark can be utilized in rotation at all 3 positions. Okay, so do we get better than Alex Anzalone? I would say I'm uncertain on this, but as far as a meat goes, I would say yes. Anzo, I'm going to say no for right now. Roy Lopez. That's a big loss for me. I think that Roy Lopez was having a really good year, but there was no way the Lions were going to pay him $5.5 million a year or whatever it was they paid. We haven't done anything in that department yet. The Lions have not signed another defensive tackle, and it doesn't mean that we won't. It doesn't mean that there's not a couple of guys out there on the market. AJ Epenesa's gone. We know that, which sucks. Not that he's a defensive tackle, but I just had to say that. So we haven't done anything there. Can't really compare, but did we get worse of a team for losing him? Yes, we did. However, we didn't. Why? Aleem McNeil, fully healthy. That's all we needed. Aleem versus Roy Lopez. Aleem McNeil is a much better football player. So I'm going to put the arrow up because Aleem is healthy. And then you have Tyleik Williams entering his 2nd season. And he was a damn good football player last year. So overall, I'm going to say, yes, we did get better. And it's not because we brought somebody in. It's because of who the players that we already have on this team that are going to be fully healthy and into their 2nd season, which is Aleem McNeil and Tyleik Williams. So, yes, we've gotten better over Roy Lopez. Al-Qadim Muhammad, I don't need to go over this one again because we already did. Yes, the answer is yes. I don't care about the inflated sack numbers for one season. What I care about is the body of work. I'll just do it. What the hell? Al-Qadim Muhammad and DJ Wonnum. All right, here's DJ's number. He's averaging about 30 pressures a year. He's averaging, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's averaging about a little over 5 sacks a season. And 30 pressures, right? I had 5 sacks on 30. Well, probably 33 pressures. Al-Qadim Muhammad, 53 pressures last year. That's a solid year on 457 snaps. Wonnum last year had 688, a little bit less than the pressure department, but that's okay. I think pressures are always bloated. Al-Qadim Muhammad, 11.5 sacks. But he's been averaging, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Less than 4 a year, so about 3.75 sacks per year. So he's averaging about a sack and a half less per year. As far as pressures, he's averaging about 25 pressures a year, so that's less. Hits, 34. Wonnum has 24 over his career, 1 last year, 9 for Al-Qadim Muhammad, 32 hurries last year by Al-Qadim, 25 by Wonnum. So that's a big number, given the fact that he was in 688, or he was on the field for, 364 in the pass rush. But as you see, he's kind of equally used. Run defense, pass rush, and coverage. Al-Qadim Muhammad, he is a liability in the run defense. It's a liability. So we got better from a run game perspective. 15 stops last season. 25 missed tackles, or 25% missed tackles. And for DJ Wonnum, 2 batted passes, 3 sacks, 9 missed tackles for 18.8%, 22 stops. Wonnum is a definite upgrade. And he's younger. And I believe he's cheaper. So, arrow's up on Wonnum. Arrow is up for Roy Lopez. Arrow is up for Amik. And Anzo is down for right now. Khalif Raymond, I already went through this one. Dortch is an upgrade. Now, I don't care about the All-Pro designation right now. I think that what we have to focus in on is his punt and kick return game. And that is where Greg Dortch is better than Khalif statistically. And then also the ability in the offense and being inserted into the offense. And we went through this all last night, so I'm going to say this is probably a lateral move because they're so close. You could say it's an upgrade, but I'm going to go lateral for right now. We lost Grant Stewart, Kyle Allen, and Tyrus Wheat. Is Teddy B an upgrade over Kyle Allen? Yeah, even though he's not going to give us a whole lot. He's a hell of a coach, but I've got to call that an upgrade. Kyle Allen's not the greatest. Tyrus Wheat, look, he had a few really good snaps for us last year, but we ended up hanging on to Lacey. And I think for that reason, keeping Lacey versus Wheat, the Lions got better. We'll take a quick look at them. 66 total snap counts last year for Wheat. 237 for Lacey. Equally used in the run and the pass rush. Wheat utilized a little bit more in the pass rush. Grade's actually pretty solid, but he doesn't meet the requisite amount of snaps either. But he did have a good year. Right? Popped out with 2 sacks. That's highly efficient. No missed tackles. 3 stops in the run game. I mean, that's a good young career stat line. And then Lacey, he had just outside enough snaps at 237. His overall defensive score was a little light. His pass rush grade, coverage grade, I don't care about the coverage grade. Pass rush grade's a little low. Tackling, no, spot on. Run defense is good. He ended up having 1 sack, 1 hit, 4 hurries, 13 tackles, no missed tackles, 10 stops. So it's a definite upgrade over Mr. Wheat Thins. It would be a downgrade versus Lopez. Okay, outside of that, I mean, the Lions brought back Kennedy. It's a lateral move. Okay, Tyler Conklin. I'm assuming that we're not bringing back Shane Zielstra. Well, Conklin's definitely an upgrade. 1,000%. Now, I don't care about last year. He wasn't used last year. But neither was Shane Zielstra. Trevor Nowaski, look, he's still growing. And we don't really have anything to compare him against. So it's a lateral move at best. Isaiah Pacheco versus David Montgomery. Now, this is one that I think would create great conversation later once we see what Pacheco is going to be inside this offense. I can't give Pacheco the upgrade just yet. We're losing a lot in David Montgomery, but Pacheco's a better blocker. Pacheco has the ability to break runs, whereas David Montgomery will get caught from behind. So I'm going to call it a lateral move. A lot of you are going to disagree, especially at Raw B. Is going to disagree with that one. But that's okay. That's okay. I think that Demo, I mean, he was just an injection of electricity into this team right away. I mean, fun guy, locker room guy, glue guy. I mean, you know it, right? I mean, he was just exceptional. Exceptional player, exceptional, man, father. I mean, he checks all the boxes. Pacheco's got to climb out of the funk that he was in the last couple of seasons, coming back from that broken leg. But again, I'm going to rest on the fact that his blocking grades and his ability to block was better than Montgomery. I got to go downgrade. I'm sorry. I can't do lateral. I got to go downgrade for right now. Demo was Demo, man. I can't even be biased about that one. Demo is Demo. Bringing Malcolm back again. We don't really have anything directly to compare to this other than Alex Anzalone. And Rodriguez is not Alex Anzalone. That would be a downgrade if that's what you were considering the next, replacement for Alex. That would be a downgrade. Malcolm's not going to believe that, right? I think Malcolm's going to go out there and play at a high level, but I also believe that he will not be our starting will linebacker on week 1. Larry Borum. Larry Borum versus Dan Skipper. 1,000%. Larry Borum is an upgrade over Dan Skipper. Larry Borum is an upgrade over Kobe Sorsdahl. Larry Borum is an upgrade over Coyote Owasika. Larry Borum is an upgrade over Cochran, over, Nice is still on the team, but Nice, and who's the other guy that I'm missing right now? Cologne, Tristan Cologne. He's an upgrade over all those players because he can play every spot on the offensive line from swing to center. He can do it all. Juice Scruggs, he's absolutely an upgrade. Cade Mays, he's absolutely an upgrade over what we had. So to end today's show, overall, I mean, we've got big time upgrades. So I know there's a lot of people out there saying, no, we're getting worse. That's not true. That's not true. Not even in the slightest. You know, Cade Mays is 20. He'll be 27 this year when the season starts. Glasgow. What is he, like 33? Why are they not listed on here? Here he is. Yeah, Glasgow's 33. He'll be 34 when the season starts. So we got younger by 7 years. That's a huge upgrade just in, health, because the older you are, the tougher it gets, right? Josh Pascal, like, he hasn't been healthy, so whoever we have in place of him, DJ Wonnum, huge upgrade. Daniel Thomas, like, I think he's still coming back. So if there's players that could be coming back still, I think Thomas is one. I think Maddox could be another. And I'm still waiting on an answer on DJ Reader. And I'm still waiting on an answer on Decker. Marcus Davenport, I doubt he comes back, but then again, as a depth piece, who knows? Who knows? There's nobody else that is on this list. Here, I'll share this list with you guys real quick. There's nobody else on this list that I think is needing to come back. Look, if Taylor Decker wants to come back and be a backup, great. If DJ Reader wants to come back and be a backup, great. If Marcus Davenport wants to come back and compete through the summer and be a backup, great. I'm all for that. Pascal, I'm out on. Glasgow, I'm out on. Daniil Thomas, I want to see him back, and I want to see Maddox back. That's it. And maybe to a lesser extent, Arthur Mollett on the vet squad, but not on the roster. So there you go. I would love to know what you guys think. As far as upgrade or not. Upgrade or not. When we move up in the draft to get Sonny Styles, will be our next Alex Anzalone. Dude, that would be Alex Anzalone on 1,000 milligrams of testosterone is what that'll be. That's a huge improvement. So are you starting to think like I think that we could be moving up? You trying to steal my thunder, Attila? Is that what you doing? You trying to steal my thunder? This is why I don't tell people stuff. That's why I try to hold it up, close to the vest. Kirby, BB, Laporta, TA, what's the quality of talent replacing them until they're healthy and playing ready? It's a great question. You've got McCreary and Isian that are going to be able to compete and help for Amik and for Branch. You have Laporta's good to go. Like he's ready to go. He'll be back by OTAs. Last I heard, TA's ready to go, and then to a lesser extent, there's another name that's ready to go, and that is Ennis Rakestraw. He's good to go. He's ready to hit the ground running at OTAs. Rakestraw just can't get. No, you stealing my thunder, Attila. I see what you're doing. You heard it here first. It's all right. It's all good, bro. I get it. What was I just saying? What was I just talking about? Ennis. Ennis can't get hurt. He just can't get hurt this year. Like, I think he's a physical player. I think he dominates at the line of scrimmage, even though he's a little bit light. He's a physical player, man. He will get his hands on you and bump you off the line of scrimmage, and he has the speed to stick with you. But if he can't stay on the damn field, then it doesn't matter. So look, the Lions are going to upgrade that room. They're going to get at least one corner in this draft. And they probably will get one safety, at least in this draft. So we'll be all good. So Attila says that they need another Brian Branch, is what you're saying. Draft to play the modern defense. What do you consider the modern defense? Lions fans for life. That's completely false. Completely false, my man. Or woman, whatever you are. So I don't know if you've had a chance to go through facts, but here, I'll share some with you. The Lions have never once gone into free agency and come out on the other side with impact players. Tell me one impact player, and I guess you'd have to define impact player, but tell me an impact player that we've signed in the last 5 years. We'll extend this out a little bit more. So the renegade philosopher, it's just a fact, dude. Hutch is not good against the run. Let me guess, you're a U of M fan? When you can drop the U of M fan and you can actually look at things objectively, we can have a conversation. But no, Hutch is not good against the run. He's not. His 25% missed tackle rate proves it. He's not good against the run. The over 1,000 yards that was run on his C gap and D gap prove it. Show you. No, how about you show us? How about that? You show us. Go make a video. You show us where Aiden is great against the run. He's not. He has his moments like everybody, but he is a liability on most rundowns. He bites. He, especially against RPOs, he bites. And he bites and he crashes, and then they go right on the outside of him all the time. He gets locked up with a left tackle, can't get free. They run right to the outside. They'll run games. They'll hit him with a chip. He can't disengage. They run right through him all the time. He's not the worst in the league, but he is a liability. When you bring in guys that are really good against the run, you want him off the field at least 10% of the time so he can get some rest. At least. No, there's no difference between his broken leg or not. There's been no change. Zero change. Zero change. If anything, he might have had his best year last year. Statistically wise, against the run. No, it was even. It was even with 24. In 2024, I mean, he only played 280 snaps. So his run defense grade, not that it matters because I don't care about PFF. I watch film. 70.6 last year, 70.6 in 24, and then 67 and 68 the years before that. So statistically, according to PFF, he had a better run defense year than he's ever had before. But here's the thing. Go and watch the film and explain to me how the numbers that he has with 19.6% missed tackle rate, 15.4% missed tackle rate, 24% missed tackle rate, and all of the other analytics combined, when another player has the same exact analytics, why are their grades much lower? That doesn't make any sense. Because if you're grading based on the numbers and based on the play, and you can hold two players with the same similar stats, it doesn't make sense to why Aiden would get a 70.6, but another player that had an identical type of year would get a 58.4. I'll tell you the answer. The answer is they want to sell you Aiden Hutchinson jerseys, and they want to sell you tickets to go to the game, and they want to sell you all the other merchandise. That's the answer. They want to sell you football props and bets. You gotta look below it, man. That's surface level stuff. Surface level stuff. My pro or anti-Sewell moving to the left, it's not my first choice. My first choice is to get the left tackle of the future. But I'm comfortable with what we have assembled to be able to put him to the left. Does that make sense? Like, we have 4 right tackles right now. So we have more right tackles than, and some of those tackles could end up being guards. But we have more on the right side than we do on the left side. And if you're telling me that Giovanni Manu could compete for the right tackle spot, I would like Giovanni Manu on the right versus the left. I could see Giovanni Manu winning a right tackle spot versus the left. I don't think he's ever going to win a left. But the right side, I think he could win. It's less demanding. It's in front of the quarterback. Jared Goff can see what's going on over there. And I do believe that has more upside than it doesn't on the right side for Manu. Mike P., former coach, well-respected individual, says Hutch runs himself out of many plays because he cheats. Ooh, what does that mean? He cheats on the play a little bit, trying to sniff it out. Is that what you're saying? He doesn't cheat like I think what people think you're going to mean, but yeah, I get you. He cheats up a little bit. He tries to cut off an angle, or he'll try to crash in, or he'll bite on an RPO, or he gets too wide on the arc. Gets way behind the quarterback. That's not good. Renegade, that still has nothing to do with run defense. Doesn't matter. Matter of fact, the more snaps, the better stats. Meaning your true grades are better to be higher snap counts than lower. Because I could take a player that has 100 snap counts and they might have a 95 grade because they were more perfect on those 100 snap counts. But is that fair to compare a guy with 100 snaps versus someone with 1,000? It's not. That's why you don't count anybody typically with lower than 250. 250 is the threshold. That's overall snaps, not necessarily just run defense. Hopefully I answered your question, Attila. We've done plenty of film review, too, to show this stuff. It's not that I'm anti, like Aiden. I want Aiden to be great. I mean, shit, you just paid him $181 million. You better be great. But there's some things about his game that are not great. It's okay. Like, not everybody is perfect. You know what I mean? Like, just because you get paid a boatload of money and you're a pretty damn good football player does not mean everything that you do is great, because it's not. There's no player out there that plays perfect football. I mean, if there is an edge defender that does, is Myles Garrett. His grades are 100% consistent. Let me show you. You want to see an edge that is consistent. This is consistency. That is consistency. This is not. That is a Christmas tree. That's Aiden. This is Myles Garrett. He has one bad grade in his 3rd year in the NFL. And that's against coverage. He's an edge. Coverage should not even be implied in these analytics. Look at his tackling. And the reason why his tackle rate is so good is because he has 34.5-inch arms. Look at his run defense grades. Stellar. Look at this poor tackling. This is another reason why Aiden's not good against the run. Because he has, sub 0.99 ape index. He doesn't have a wide frame. He's tall, but he doesn't have long enough arms to be able to reach over while engaged and snatch somebody running through the gap. If he's not free, he can't get free. That's the problem. When he's engaged with a tackle, he has a hard time getting off. That's why he uses the spin move. But see, the tackles are starting to catch on to that. And what they're doing is they're anticipating the spin move. So if you only have a couple of pass rush moves, which Aiden only has a couple, like 3. He has a bull rush, a spin move. He doesn't really do an overarm or a chop. He doesn't do the swim. He doesn't really do any of that stuff. Why? Because he doesn't have the arm length to do it. But when Aiden's engaged and he tries to do the spin, what I'm noticing now from tackles is what they do is they drop step. When Aiden spins, they take a drop step, they reset. And it happens like this, right? But the minute that they feel it coming or they anticipate it, because, Aiden has a cadence. And I've watched so much of his film that when he gets into his cadence, he'll start to bull, right? He'll start to rush or bull, and then it's instant. It's like in that first second and a half that he's just gonna hit that spin move. So when you watch his tape and you feel that cadence, it might take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reps, whatever it is, 12, 20 reps. You then start to feel out his cadence, and when you get his cadence down pat, all you do is that drop step and slide, and now you're right in front of him again. Or here's the other thing that I see a lot with Aiden. Not that I wanted to get deep off into Aiden today. We'll do that some of the stuff later, and we'll do it with all players. Is I've noticed tackles getting smarter with that punch. So when Aiden starts to spin, all you got to do is punch the dude on his shoulder, because while you're spinning, where are your feet? Or where's at least one of your feet? Off the ground. So you don't leave your feet, right? As an edge, Calvin Shepard said it best, last year when he came back, that Aiden was leaving his feet too often. He kept jumping, hopping, and that can lead to big time trouble, obviously injuries. But as you're spinning, you're leaving the ground with at least one foot. All that tackle has to do is punch you, and he's going to knock you off. Right, you're then gonna get off your balance, and then you're taken out of the play. And so I see it oftentimes where he starts to spin, he gets punched or he gets pushed, and then he just collapses into the line. Or the tackle will just bull back at him and then pancake him down towards the line. There's plenty of reps like that. So look, Aiden's a phenomenal football player, but he's not perfect. He does some things that aren't great. But over and above all that, he's a phenomenal football player. Like, let's not even debate that. He is a phenomenal football player. There's just some things that I wish he had. If you were to take Aiden and attach Myles Garrett's arms to him, you might have one of the most perfect defensive ends out there. He's not overly heavy, at 265, 270, depending on where he's playing. He's just missing the long arms, man. If he just had long arms, he would be by far and away one of the best defensive ends to play the game. So we'll see. We'll see where he goes. Let's see. Well, that's a good, Jomo, that's a good statement, man. I agree with that too. Where he says keeping Panay and Ratledge together versus, putting Panay with a new left tackle or new left guard. whoever that is. But having those combinations together, they've only played one season. I mean, I could see where that may not affect Panay as much, but yeah, when you get to learn somebody and you learn your partner, it's like a dance partner. When you can learn your partner and how they work, same thing I was just talking about Aiden, their cadence, Ratlich's cadence, Panay's cadence. When they learn each other's cadence, man, it's you're just out there dancing. You know, that's all it is. You're two-stepping your way to keeping those defensive linemen out of the backfield. And yeah, anytime you have to add a new piece to the puzzle, it takes a minute, right? It's not as easy for those guys initially. But look, Panay's an all-pro for a reason. I do think it'll be tough for him initially, but over time, I think Panay will settle in. My biggest concern is that so Panay, I mean, I'm critical of Panay too, right? Like his pass pro, not good. It's not good. At times it's great. A lot of times it's not good. But his run grading, or in his run blocking, dude's a road grader. I mean, he's out there just bulldozing. His pass block his pass block PFF grades have been pretty good. Last year was probably his best. Watch the film, and it'll tell you a different story. That at times, Panay is kind of swimming, and it's like he's grasping at air, or, an edge defender or a defensive tackle will get the best of him. And that may not have been all Panay's fault either. Last year, that probably was because of Ratledge, and it was because Johnny Moe screwed everything up. But if you give him Zeitler, like his grade was not as good next to Zeitler, but overall, I felt that Panay was a much better football player in 24 than he was in 25. But his grades were actually better in 25, which doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I can't stand PFF. And the biggest reason is this. And I'm not trying to bash PFF because I like Sycamore. I think he's a great dude. I mean, I like everything that they do. But I think the philosophy of the business is suspect. Let me try to find it. I should apply. I should straight up apply. Okay. I'm going to give you this. Go read this for yourself. I read it to y'all last year. I just dropped that in the chat. Go to PFF and go in to the main page and you click PFF grades. So this is what it looks like. I'll show you real quick. I got to bounce, man. I'm way late. All right, so this is what the page looks like. It'll say view NFL player grades. Scroll down. It says learn about PFF player grades. Scroll down further. What do we do? The grading scale. Who is doing the grading? Okay. This will blow your mind. When you go through all of this and then you tell me what you learned, the numbers that they put in here are alarming. When it tells you who's doing it, like 18-year-olds are doing it. It even mentioned in there, I don't know if they've upgraded it since I called them out last year, which I doubt that they even cared. I doubt they even heard it. But they got 18-year-olds in there that have never played football, that are not sports people, and they're grading these guys. Or you have three, based on their percentages, they have three people that are doing final gradings on 16 games in 1 week. And majority of those games happen in one day. I don't know how that's possible. I really don't know how that's, and you're grading all those players all at once. I mean, you do the math. That's at least 25 starters. At least. Because you need 25 starters just to field the team. And then you've got all your backups. I would say a good portion of 45 players probably play every week for every team. Times 32 teams. That is 1,440 player grades getting done in less than 24 hours. And then you take that and you multiply, call it 3 hours of game time. That's 4,320 hours of film to go in and evaluate 1,440 players in 24 hours. Tell me how it's possible. Tell me, I mean, the numbers ain't numbering. So, all right, hopefully we learned something today. If you did, please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend. Don't forget to sign up at DetroitFootballJournal.com. Like I said, get your free 6 months. It's going to expire. I'm not sure when, but it's going to expire. And if you haven't been upgraded yet, just let me know. But I'll check it again today. Everyone should all be upgraded, except for the 10 people that joined this morning already. Which, my God, every morning I wake up, we've got 10 new subscribers, and that's pretty good, man. That's like really good for a website that's just about football that I'm not putting any money into. I'm not doing any ads, and I've written 152 pieces so far. So we're doing pretty good. I've risen from top 98 to top 70 in the nation for up and coming writers on Substack. I haven't checked the numbers recently, but that's where it was a few days ago. So we're doing pretty good. And I need more writers. I need some more intelligence over here. So you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Let me know at mailbag.rockdown.com what you guys would like to hear next. Any ideas, topics, ideas, video ideas, whatever it is. Email me, let me know. And if you'd like to come on and have a debate, talk about football, email me and let me know that you would like to come in and join the show. You guys take care. Go and probably go Detroit Lions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.
Pressured by Hutchinson.